It was a shot, to be fair. It was like, how did you hit that?
Yeah. And then Cactice, which we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
obviously, I want to make it before we get into talking about Cactice. For the viewers, me and Slader have already discussed before stream that we are going to talk about this. We're not going to have a back and forth and argue about what should have been done and what shouldn't have been done. I'm going to simply leave my thoughts on the situation and my thoughts on the outcome, and then Slader's going to do the same, and that's it. We're not going to have a conversation about it. Well, we'll talk, but like not that.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know the outcome, 90+5. Cactice, it is 1-1. I team kill Generis, and
oh yeah.
and then I'm 1v1ing Plushie.
That was the move.
Plushie shoots me off, and watching back in the VOD, I thought I shot Plushie at the same time. I didn't.
Yeah.
As I'm being flinged off, I shoot Plushie, which I admit now was bad timing. However, I still stand firmly that I think it should have been a draw. That's my own opinion. And and people can turn around and be like, oh, but if that was the other way around, you wouldn't be like that. My opinion, I think that should have been a draw because I still killed Plushie no matter what. Obviously, I die, Plushie then dies. Controversial mix up, turns out to be a draw. Next round, I team kill Generis again. and the other team wins. It's Plushie, Irish, and Stride on that team, I believe. That was the OP team with the parkour team. They win that round. Had they have been given the win for the draw round, they would have won the event. We then come back and we win the event 3-2. My opinion, should have stayed a draw. I think the rerun was fair, and it turned out to be the exact same scenario anyways. And had it have not been a draw and they were 2-1 up, we would have changed my whole mindset. I wouldn't have team killed Generis, because when we went 2-1 down, I didn't kill team kill Generis.
Yeah, it would have played differently.
It would have played differently. However, going forward, you guys have announced that if it's the person who dies first, the other will get the win. It will never be a draw again. That was a one-time thing. Why? What is your thoughts on it? Because I rewatched the admin stream, and I said this before. The entire time, the admin team were rooting for Plushie and Stride's team to win and Irish's team to win, which is completely fine. I mean, if you guys are friends, you want them to win, that's completely fine. Then in the moment, it got changed, and for some bizarre reason, everyone voted for it to be a draw. Maybe they wanted the suspense of the event, maybe that, and then everyone now looking back, it's like, oh crap, the team we wanted to win didn't win. And that's my thoughts on it. Not to say there's bias or anything.
I don't know if that was so my stance on it was like I was okay with the draw in the moment, but that was mainly because I assumed that Red was okay with it. I think especially in like, obviously I was the event host, and so at the end of the day it was my decision. But I assumed that they were okay with it. Had I known that they weren't, I would have gone back and watched, like I would have stopped the event and gone and watched the VODs back. But in the interest of like, okay, well look, I wasn't watching what happened, so I was like, I just see the death messages pop up. My first instinct is, oh okay, that's a Red win, because Plushie went out. It was like a second after or something. It was close. It was really tight. And so end of the day, we've made the decision moving forward to just go off of whatever the chat thing pops up last, mainly because of the amount of stress that I got post event, because all the back and forth and everyone being all upset that that call was made and that we didn't look into it further. And I was just sort of like, at the end of the day, it's a Minecraft event. So, you know, I understand that people can get heated in the moment, but it's whatever call we made, whether or not I think it was the right one. I think it was a call we made in the moment, and I don't think it was, I definitely don't think it was like a wrong decision, but I don't know if it was the right either. Like, I don't know. It's the decision we made. I wish I don't know. Like, walking out, I felt like a bad event host because I didn't look at both parties before making that call. I was just like, I heard like you guys were like, let's do a tie. And then the entire audience of like all the other players that were watching it were like, let's do that. But Red never said anything until after I already made the call. Yeah, and then they were like, what?
But then isn't that kind of like their thing as well though? Because we actively said in chat, draw. Like they should have actively said in chat, not draw. And then they would have made you. But they didn't.
Right.
Like, so I understand you should have went to both teams and be like, okay, what are your thoughts on this? But then it's also a case of like, they didn't actively fight for the draw until it wasn't given. And then even then, watching back on their VODs, they were like, oh, it's a draw, whatever. Oh well. Yeah. And then it was only when they lost, that's when the uproar started from viewers and stuff, because they were the favorites to win. People like, I know, like obviously them three have a big audience in the MCBC team, and I've seen and they've really that to completely understandable. So obviously that kind of thing. But had it have been, I think the other way around, say like we were screwed out of a draw, I don't think there would have been that much uproar from the audience, because our audiences aren't really active in that scene, if that makes sense.
Right.
So could it also be a case of just like it was just the wrong people who got, in quotation marks, screwed over kind of thing? and it's just unfortunate it was them.
Maybe. I don't know. It honestly, the way I've kind of been taking that is just, we have the rule. I don't want Cactice to go for 6 rounds. So if it happens again, we're just gonna go, all right, whoever the host is, whoever's the one clicking the buttons and making the game operate that day, which in most cases and in all canon cases has been me, other than TCPC, but anyway. If that's what pops up on my screen, that's what I'm going with. That's what I did in the legacy events. That's what I did in testing. The only reason we didn't, like, we've had ties and stuff go down in testing, similar to that, but we never draw the round. We're just like, okay, whatever the chat comes. The only reason we went with that was because everyone was screaming tie, and I got confused, and the team got confused. We didn't know what to do. We got flustered, and so we're like, all right, sure. If everyone's cool with the tie, we'll do the tie. Yeah, exactly. And so we're like, all right, cool, whatever. Let's do that. If everyone's cool with that, that's what we'll do. But moving forward, I'm just going to do that. It's cleaner that way, and that's just the. I have other systems set up now that should hopefully help that. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I just want to move on from it. Like it's just like I'm done with it.
Bring up, like, I think
no.
I just want to kind of have like. Oh,
I was so stressed the following week because it was like people were mad at me for that, and it was so like people like it was unnecessary the amount of drama that went on after that.
Was it really that bad? Because I didn't see any of it. I couldn't really find any.
I couldn't be asked to deal with it. That was the gist of it. I was like, oh my god.
But I didn't see any of the when you said about like all the drama and backlash. I didn't see any of the drama or backlash.
No, it was mostly people like were reaching out to me individually about the whole ordeal, and I just didn't want to. Yeah.
Well, I know I reached out to you myself, which I'm sorry to contribute into that, but I feel like I'm not going to say why I reached out to you about, but looking back on it, you can understand that my one was a little bit valid if you remember why I reached out to you about the outcome of the event.
I understand. I get why everyone was reaching out to me about it, and that's why I felt so stressed about it.
It's just a bit too much.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to keep it for fun and stuff. As I said, I didn't mean to bring it up to cause drama, and that's why I said I'm not going to argue with you and say, Slader, you suck, you're wrong, I can't believe you, it should have been a draw. It's just like, I just wanted to kind of, and now, because you said it in the MCPC Discord, but it's also good that this is going to now be a public podcast where you publicly said, in the future, whoever dies first is a draw. So now no one can turn around and be like, oh, that's such a rule change. Oh, you said that it would be a draw. There's now public proof that you have turned around and said, this is my thoughts on it, this is the outcome, this is what happens.
That's the hard. In the past, it was always like, that's what we do, but it was never like a hard rule. And so when we finally had an instance where like, okay, it's close and people wanted it to be a draw, we were like, yeah, sure, what the hell? And so now we're like, no, we're just gonna stick with what we like did in the past. So that's just gonna be the hard rule. And if it gets close again, people can cry about it. I'm just gonna go whatever pops up on my screen and keep the event momentum going.
What about if
otherwise people just get flustered and confused?
What about if sod's law 2 people died at the exact same time and it's randomized who pops up first?
I'm going with whatever pops up last.
Really?
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Oh, geez.
If it's a tick and if it's really the thing is the odds of that happening where it's a 1v1 in Cactice and they go down that close is pretty unlikely. I
mean, what happened with me in Plushie was like 1 in a million, like
right,
thousands,
but
like...
even that had like a second gap. Like when you go back and you rewatch
it
was close. It was extremely close, but it wasn't so close to where it was a clear like, oh, I don't know, like there was, you heard both sound effects go individually.
And that's why I admit as well, like looking back on it, I realized that as I'm midair, I shoot Plushie, it's like a Hail Mary shot, and I somehow hit it.
Yeah, it was a shot, to be fair. It was like, how did you hit
shot? Yeah. Like in the moment you can understand why I thought I shot him at the same time, and that's why I said it was ping diff. And then looking back and I'm like, okay, no, it wasn't ping diff, but it was an arrow lag. I did actually just shoot late, which is my own fault. But it's nothing that can be done now. It's in the past. So well, tournament. It's like you've made it very clear. The tournament, although it can be a bit competitive, is just for fun. MTBC is just a fun tournament, and like we're well past that. And I'm sure hopefully the other team aren't too annoyed with it. I mean, they still play in the event, so I can't imagine that they're too pissed off by the outcome, because all 3 of those players are still playing in the event now.